New York does not play. I know we know that about New York City, but let me tell you, it's the same way on the Appalachian Trail. I've gone 4/10 of a mile and I've climbed 600 vertical feet. We were watching a hiker who, he said the difference for him between what's steep and what's not steep is if it goes up 540 feet in a mile. And I've gone 600 feet. So anyway, Anthony's nose doesn't play. More to be done. Stayed at the Windrose last night. This is the building they refer to the White House, where you come and get breakfast, coffee, rolls, etc. Here's the rest of the place. Very nice. Not a traditional stop for Appalachian Trail through hikers, but close to the trailhead nevertheless. Lovely place. After 2 zeros, the second zero, which was a transit day up to New York State, I'm going to start heading north of on New York State, north of Bear Mountain Bridge. I have been dropped off by a phenomenal Uber driver, had a good night's stay, and this is what the trail looks like coming straight off the road, and you can literally see it is straight off the road. So I've been dilly-dallying enough today. A lot of planning done for the next couple of weeks, like the next 3 weeks, and it's time to get hiking. All right, that's the steepest climb I've done in the first 250 miles on the Appalachian Trail. It's called Anthony's Nose, and it comes off of the Bear Mountain Bridge and just goes straight up. Like I was trying to say, I was so out of breath, I probably didn't say it well. There was a guy that we watched that said, you know, if I see 540 miles of vertical increase over a mile, I'm not that worried about it. Well, this was almost 700 and a half a mile. So that would have been on that pace, 1400s, or almost 3 times as steep as the point that he said he wouldn't be worried about it. But the initial climb is over. Now we're walking into a beautiful forest. Just gotta watch out for rocks and roots and enjoy the afternoon. The Right Stuff. The Right Stuff is sponsored today, as Sesame Street would say, by the letter Q. It's a little bit of an obscure letter, not used that often, and so we're actually going to slip a small word in before the Q word. It comes from the book of James. And those of you probably already cluing into what the verse is, but it says, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. I do try to live by this quite a bit. I probably do it better with everybody else other than my wife. My wife would say, why'd you get angry so fast? Sometimes we just disagree. I'm not angry and she takes that as anger. But if I'm honest, sometimes I do get angry. Quick to listen, man, if you're a husband, maybe not always our best attribute. Kind of in our own little world, and your wife speaks and have to snap to attention to really catch it right from the start. Otherwise, it's a couple minutes of talking and then the husband says, what? That's a hard one. Be quick to listen. Slow to speak. I'm not one who flies off the handle speaking wise. Generally speaking, pretty controlled. Generally speaking, think things through. Not always. And then slow to become angry. Words to live by. Words of grace to live by. Would that I continue to improve in all 3 of these. Anyway. How's this for a lovely sound and a lovely babbling brook coming down the stones of the Appalachian Trail? All right, back to hiking. You may notice the hat's off in my backpack and the hoodie's off, and in my backpack I just had to make the decision that the heat was just too much and I was going to have to deal with the bugs. And as long as we're talking about the bugs, let's talk about the bugs. The bugs have taken center stage today, whether that's gnats around the head. And then let me teach you another kind of blazing. I've talked about yellow blazing and blue blazing and white blazing. There's something called silk blazing. And if you think about spiders, silk blazing is the first person to go down a section of a trail that has taken the brunt of all of the spider webs that go across the trail. So I've done quite a bit of silk blazing today. And then finally on the bug front, a hiker coming from the other direction gave the warning I was fearful of, and that is the tick warning. He's aware that it's an active tick area and that a couple people have been bitten by ticks. Grateful that my last stop with my tent, I retreated the tent with permethrin, my pants, my socks, my hiking shoes. I just went through a huge spider web. You probably can't see it, but it's all over my nose. Silk blazing at its finest, live and in living color. Anyway, the permethrin is supposed to have a 70 to 80% reduction in the impact of ticks. So hopeful I should say, that I'll be successful in inviting ticks, but it's absolutely necessary to do a tick check at night before you go to sleep. Make sure that tent is zipped up tight and you're in a tick-free environment. So anyway, making good progress today, but we got the heat, humidity, and we've got the bugs out today. Got some good bog boards here. You know, sometimes on the trail, there are businesses that are just perfectly placed. You walk out of the woods and all of a sudden there's a place where you can get an ice cold drink, maybe a sub sandwich, maybe an ice cream sandwich. I'm trying to keep sugar low, but I think I'm going to reward myself today. This is one of those known places. You walk right out onto this highway here, get across it, and there is a mini mart there that caters to cars, but also caters to Appalachian Trail thru hikers. And I think I'm about to treat myself. Check in with you later. Sometimes it's the little things. Most of you are looking at a porta potty going, ooh, the people on the trail are going, oh, thank goodness, thank goodness.